Moment here. There we go. We are live streaming on YouTube. I need to turn off the sound there. Okay, very good. All right, looks good. We are live on YouTube. So welcome everybody over on YouTube. Welcome everybody joining us on Zoom. And please do go right over to the chat or the comments and put your name and location in. I would love to see where everybody is joining from today as we begin our forecast event. And let me welcome some of you coming in here on Zoom. Welcome Lauren Rose in Paris. Welcome Naraya in Spain. Welcome Liz in Chicago. Welcome Deanne in Michigan. Welcome Nancy in Ottawa, Canada. Welcome Virginia in Pennsylvania. Nathalie in Burgundy. Ooh, that sounds wonderful. Nathalie. Welcome Sister Bless in London. Yay, so glad to see you back here, Sister Bless. Welcome Leah in Wilmington, North Carolina. Welcome Rosemary in Southern California. Welcome Pauline in Montreal. Katrine in Paris. Erhard in Denmark. Yay, Erhard, great to see you here. Welcome Ilana Blue in Colorado. Barbara in Charlotte. Kelly in Eastland, Texas. Deb in Canada. Jillian in Surrey, UK. Christina in Sweden. Melinda in Florida. Diane in Maine. Linda in Medicine Hat, Alberta, Canada. Abhane in Ireland. Lynn in Devon, Illinois. Leanne in Nebraska, Michelle in Toronto, Barbara in Nova Scotia. Wow, and many, many more. Welcome, everybody. I am thrilled to be here with you today, absolutely overjoyed to be here presenting this to you, and we are about to have so many incredible live interviews. You will also be able to watch our pre-recorded interviews at your convenience all throughout each day whenever you have time. And so, oh my goodness, there is just so much amazingness in store for you here during the 2023, 2024, and 2025 forecast event. And let's see who's over on YouTube. So welcome Micah in Netherlands. Hi, Emer in Scotland. Yay, glad you're here. Welcome Jody in Illinois, Jana in Michigan, and Kim in Michigan. Yay, and welcome everybody else who's joining over on YouTube. Oh my goodness, this is so exciting. So this event, I'll just tell you, has a very interesting backstory. And part of the reason I'm thrilled and very grateful to be here presenting to you today. So fascinating. So this idea for this event where we're going to move into a forecast here, and we're bringing this forecast from astrologers, from different wisdom traditions, from people who have studied the ancient prophecies, from people who have studied the ancient sacred sites, and many others. And all of these people will be bringing their unique expertise, their unique modalities in to help us to understand what's going to happen, not just next year, 2023, but for the next 3 years. Because as my guides told me, the next 3 years are going to be absolutely critical for our human trajectory, for us to really move into full alignment with the earth and the cosmos and all the forces of nature. And so we're going to be exploring that in so many different ways here. But what happened was this idea, this kind of transmission for that this event needed to happen and that it should be a forecast event for the next 3 years came through on June 4th, 2022. And I've been creating these summits and global conferences since 2015. So I usually create 1 or 2 of them every year for my business. I also help others to guide others to create their own soulful summits and global conferences. And so I normally don't start planning these events until maybe 3 months before they're going to happen. But for whatever reason, and I soon understood the reason, the idea for this event came through in June 4th, 2022. And I started inviting the speakers, and automatically the speakers started saying yes. And we had pretty much our full live speaker lineup already set by the 2nd or 3rd week in June. And what happened was I became very, very sick this year. I was completely out of commission, couldn't run my business, couldn't take care of my kids, couldn't do anything for most of July and August and September. Toward the end of September, I started being able to come back and do things. And so I know lots of you also have gone through health crises or relationship crises or other major life changes during this year. And so if that idea hadn't come through so early on in June, we wouldn't be gathering here today, because I wouldn't have had the energy to bring all this together. But it was mostly fully formed already by the end of June, when the bottom fell out from my world. And here we are. And this is just so incredible. Absolutely so incredible. And so this is always my message to everybody, to my clients, to the Sacred Planet community, is follow that guidance. When you get these transmissions, when you get these insights, like, wow, I think I need to do this, even though the timing doesn't seem right. I think the time is now. Just, we got to follow those instructions, right? It leads to amazing, amazing breakthroughs. So we're going to explore this in many different ways. But as Naraya is saying here, healing hugs for everyone who who did go or is going through any kind of health challenge. We're going to talk about this through astrological lenses, ancient prophecy lenses. There are so much changing for us in our world right now. We are all going through major crises of some sort. So I want to really honor everybody listening for what you are moving through. It's big, it's important. Don't be afraid. Know that it is the entry point to our whole new reality, to your new life, to our new collective world that we're creating together, one person at a time, and all of us together. So let's dive in today. There's so much beauty here to share. All right, I'm going to share slides with you today. And hopefully you can all see my slides. If there's any issue, write it in the chat on Zoom if you can't see the slides, but hopefully you should be able to see them well. So welcome to the event once again, the 2023, 2024, 2025 forecast event, illuminating our understanding of these unprecedented times. And we are bringing together in this event wisdom transmissions, astrology, ecological perspectives, indigenous prophecies, the knowledge written and encoded in our sacred sites, and so much more, so that you can have an in-depth understanding about what's going to occur during these massively crucial next 3 years, and really be able to work with the energies, really be able to work with the changes, rather than having the changes knock you over, really be able to work with them and flow with them in the best possible way. Now, if somehow you have gotten here and you're watching me, but you haven't registered yet, definitely go to this link, which I'll put in the YouTube description field once we're done recording, and make sure to sign up so you can hear all 25 of our illuminating talks and presentations about these topics. This is just a little bit about me. I am a visibility coach for visionary entrepreneurs. I'm a spiritual alchemist, astrologer, global conference creator since 2015, and I'm the founder of Sacred Planet. And I share shamanic and ancient wisdom to guide courageous seekers, that's all of you out there listening, in co-creating a revolutionary new world in alignment with Mother Earth and the vast intelligence of the cosmos. So my website is wearesacredplanet.com. Many of you are already on my YouTube channel. Check it out. Lots more amazing and beautiful content that I've been creating there. And I'm going to share 2 live presentations here on the forecast event. You're watching the first one. This is the most powerful astrological transits of the next 3 years. And then also on Saturday at this same time, 9 a.m. New York time, I'm going to share with you more detail about how to work with these powerful transits for your greatest benefit. So let's begin. Let's dive right in to these most powerful transits. And these are some big ones. We've had some big transits the last 3 years. Well, these are even bigger coming up. It's going to be extremely powerful times. Now, just to give a little bit of a foundation, a little bit of a starting point here to our topic and to the subject matter we're going to be exploring throughout this entire conference. Okay, I just wanted to give you this brief introduction on why does astrology matter? And even if you've already pondered this, even if you're already an astrologer, I think you'll find this really fascinating. So since the beginning of time, humans have noticed that the events in the cosmos were closely tied to the events here on Earth. Now, by 5,000 years ago, virtually all of the ancient and indigenous cultures, and so we're talking about Native Americans, we're talking about ancient Sumerians, ancient Egyptians, Australian Aboriginal peoples, and many, many others on every continent, had already developed well-advanced forms of astronomy and astrology. Now, this meant they were already developing them for tens of thousands of years before that. Here is a beautiful astrological sealing from the tomb of Seti I. This was created in about 1279 BC in Egypt, in the Valley of the Kings. And so clearly, the science of astrology and astronomy were quite well developed in significant detail by this point. So we know that ancient people were working on the development of this for tens of thousands of years, previous to when we actually see it beginning to be written down and encoded. And so we now know that astronomy and astrology were known, practiced, and in development even tens of thousands of years ago. In fact, these animals painted on ancient caves such as Chavot and Lascaux caves, as far back as 32,000 years ago, point to particular constellations such as Taurus, the bull, and Cygnus, the swan, which is also the Northern Cross constellation. These were major high potency constellations that we see referred to in Egypt, in Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, as well as in these caves in Spain and many other places around the world. So interestingly as well, countless ancient and indigenous origin stories say that we came from the stars. And the Pleiades in particular is frequently mentioned as our origin point in creation stories from every continent. So this relationship that we have with the stars and planets runs extremely deep. And we are remembering now. We're remembering how connected we are with the cosmos. And astrology, as a result, is gaining quite a rapid increase in attention these days. I think this was really just substantially launched in 2020 when we heard all of the astrologers reporting. I can remember listening to astrology reports in January 2020, and everyone was saying, all of the astrologers knew that something absolutely world-changing and catastrophic was going to happen that year. And now we can see they were right. And it has significantly affected our subsequent years as well. Now, why does astrology work? This is a really important question that the ancient people and the indigenous people have always known that it works, and that we're connected to the cosmos, and that there is an energetic pull. There are energetic strings or threads between us and the stars and planets. But even modern quantum physics is beginning to be able to understand this and explain it. So quantum entanglement is the key here. Quantum entanglement is a phenomenon in which entangled systems exhibit correlations that cannot be explained by classical physics. And so what this means is that when two particles become entangled, they remain connected even when separated by vast distances. And it has recently been suggested that a similar process occurs between people. Surprise, right? We're part of the connected makeup and architecture of the universe. And this explains, scientifically considered anomalous phenomena, such as, for example, energy healing, or the experience of meeting someone and being immediately and intimately familiar with them, even though you've never met before in this lifetime. And so the particles which currently make up you or make up me or Jupiter or the sun, were once fused together in distant stars. And if we go even further back, 13.8 billion years ago, we were all fused together, very tightly together, before the Big Bang, okay? And then there was the explosion, the vast explosion, and all of the galaxies began to form, and stars and everything began to form. But we've all been together before. The particles that make up you are very, very connected with the particles that make up me and the particles that make up Venus, for example. So we've all been together before. We're all going to be together again. And in the meantime, we are all still quite intimately connected, and we all have a pull on one another. We all have this energetic connection. Now, at the moment you were born, this is really important too, there was a certain very unique configuration of stars, planets, asteroids, the sun, the moon. And so this split-second blueprint of the moment of your birth and all of the energetics of the earth and cosmos that were occurring at that very moment was imprinted upon your energetic and physical body. And so we take that earthly and cosmic imprint upon you, and we combine that with your own unique genetic makeup. And with all this combined, it means that you carry certain archetypes and qualities in a configuration like no one else in the world. You are a magnificent gem. There is no one else like you. And your birth chart is a document that shows this. Now, it doesn't show your genetic makeup, although even that is reflected in some ways in your birth chart. Okay, but your birth chart includes all the details of your greatest challenges and your most expansive opportunities in this lifetime. Truly incredible. I've been reading charts for many, many years now. Absolutely mind-blowing every time. I never get tired of it. I'm sure all of you astrologers out there feel the same way. And similarly, each transit that occurs in the cosmos throughout each day makes a continually evolving imprint upon us. And we feel this at a very deep cellular level. Some planets move faster, some move slower. Each has its own unique pull on us and on our emotions. And so world events and personal events are created as we humans and the earth and the animals, the mountains, the oceans, all of these forces of nature and animate beings, each uniquely respond to these energies, the earth being one of those animate beings with consciousness. Now, we always have free will. And at the same time, certain themes and archetypes can be pinpointed as the prevailing energies at any given time. So we're going to talk a lot more about this on Saturday, but I'll say briefly for now, how to use astrology for your highest benefit. The key is to utilize the positive aspects of our natal planetary placements and to use the positive aspects of the ongoing transits as the planets move through the sky. And also, one other way that astrology really helps us is that it gives us a much larger, more universal, even mythological context for what's happening in our world. And on a collective level, we can see the larger archetypal forces that are moving at this time. For example, Saturn in Aquarius, square Uranus in Taurus, which was the huge prevailing energy throughout 2021 and 2022, very challenging, difficult energy, shows us that the breakdowns happening in our world, this is not just needless chaos and confusion. Things are not breaking down for no reason. They're actually happening because this is a necessary step on the path for us to build something completely new and different from all that has come before. So if you don't have this larger cosmic context, this is people out in the world who don't have this context are feeling the intensity. They're seeing the structures and systems of the world breakdown, and they're running around making YouTube videos about doomsday scenarios and preparing for the apocalypse, right? With astrology, it gives us a context so we don't have to go down that fear rabbit hole. And I mean, honestly, you can't prepare for the apocalypse, so don't worry about that. If that's going to happen, it's going to happen, but we can't prepare for it. And really and truly, what we need to be doing instead is focusing on the highest positive aspects as best we can to create the energetic signature of a bright and vibrant future. If we're focusing on the apocalypse, it's actually increasing the chance that the apocalypse will happen. Okay. But when we look and see these breakdowns are happening so we can break through into a new world, let's hold the energy of that new world we want to create. Let's navigate this with our sights set on the highest outcomes. That is going to bring about the best benefit and outcome for everybody, all of us and the earth and all beings included. So this is really important to keep in mind. And here's a quote from a transmission that I received from Thoth a few years ago, that I'm still contemplating this, what he said to me. So you can take this in as well. He said, the music of the spheres is orchestrating everything that is happening down here. The more we can resonate at the frequency of the spheres, the more we will be prepared for this journey and for what lays ahead. Very profound. Actually, I recommend meditating with that. It came from way out in the cosmos, the sacred architecture that Thoth helped to create. And the music of the spheres, of course, being the spinning of the planets and the pulsing light of the stars and all that music that happens out there in the cosmos. Astrology was considered a science in ancient times, and actually it still is a science. The mainstream doesn't recognize that, but it will. And so it's a very far-reaching science, very comprehensive, and it can predict the likelihood of events such as times of war or times of peace. In the individual birth chart, it can pinpoint the personality, challenges, and opportunities of every person. And on a much vaster scale, it can indicate the great ages, so the precessional cycles, the 26,000-year cycles in which countless generations of humans have built up and torn down one civilization after another. And not only does it have this predictive quality, but it blends the mystical with the purely logical in a really beautiful way that most modern sciences fail to do. Although quantum physics is starting to dive back into that. And when we read the ancient texts from a wide multitude of different languages and different forms of writing from many, many thousands of years ago, we find that now is the time. Now is the time that was predicted as having tremendous change and upheaval. We haven't seen change like this since about 12,000 to 13,000 years ago, which was the halfway point on that great precessional cycle. Here is an astrological sealing from the Temple of Dendera, telling us that now is a momentous time to be alive. And just so you have this here, this is Isis in her sacred cow form. This is Osiris before he died, before he was mummified, and this is their son Horus sitting on the lotus flowers in the center. So beautiful. Beginning of time. So those of us who are alive at this unprecedented time, we are here to live and breathe and be the change that our ancestors have seen coming for thousands of years. And of course, we're feeling it very intensely. We are living these vast and sweeping changes. And so internally, we're feeling it. Externally, we're seeing it. And so we need to really come into our calm center, connect with our heart, and know that this is all part of a much larger plan. Again, we don't want to go to the apocalyptic scenarios. It's not going to do any good. It's actually going to do more harm. Because really and truly, all this is happening to catalyze us into a rapid, upward-oriented, future-building evolutionary process. We are opening up to completely new realities and new possibilities as we move into the future. And what's so interesting, and the reason that I cannot help but reference Egypt in almost everything I talk about these days, is that in ancient Egypt, they had an extremely different perception of reality than what we have today. Just incredibly filled with the sacred, with the recognition of the sacredness of life, the sacredness of all things. And we're coming back into that remembrance. So these next 3 years are going to be a time of huge upleveling and positive evolution, personally and collectively, for those who are dedicated to raising their consciousness and those who are open to learning the lessons of our times. This is something really important that I've learned over the summer while I was sick, because Saturn was working with me extensively and still is. And so I began having conversations with Saturn because I realized that I can turn away from the lessons and keep suffering, or I can turn toward the lessons. I can turn toward the darkness. I can turn toward the initiation and really open my heart. And so I've been asking Saturn, what is it that you need me to learn? I'm ready. I'm here. I want to learn it so I can move forward, so I can continue to evolve. And so when the lessons are tough, we need to turn toward them even more and open to this evolutionary impulse that's wanting to move through us. It's so important, and it's so powerful and life-changing when we can do that. So we're going to move into the transits here, everybody. And I just wanted to have this note first. Why should we study the transits? Well, when we can embody and embrace the highest potentials of the upcoming planetary transits, that is how we learn to work with the energetics and paradigm shifting events and flow with the next level changes that are coming our way. Because the truth is that we can navigate all of this with joy, passion, resilience, courage, fulfillment, abundance. There are going to be opportunities beyond our current understanding that will be coming into our lives and opening the way for us to live in really a completely different reality, is what the astrology is saying. So let's tap into those transits now. Let's see what's coming next. Here are the most powerful transits of the next 3 years. Real quick, we're going to look at these 4, which were what we've already had, okay? And these are rare and powerful, and we've just moved through all of these. So Saturn-Pluto conjunction in January 2020 in Capricorn, Jupiter-Saturn conjunction at 0 degrees of Aquarius in December 2020, Saturn-Uranus squares between Aquarius and Taurus all throughout 2021 and 2022. And then Uranus and Mars conjunct the North Node at 18 degrees of Taurus in July and August 2022. Wow, that was a doozy. Now, this is what we've come through. All right, I just wanted to give a little more context there. So let's see where we're going next. You will want to get out your calendar. You will want to mark your calendars, and I'm even going out to 2028 in a couple cases here, so you'll see soon. You want to mark your calendar with these critically important dates. And if you have your birth chart available, keep it by your side so you can see especially which houses in your chart are going to be affected by each transit. Let me just check the chat real quick. Okay, beautiful comments. Thank you all for your comments in the chat. And I will have time to take your questions once we look at these transits. Okay, so Saturn. So we're starting in March 2023. Of course, there are lots of other transits going on between now and March, but I'm kind of going to the big picture here. We're looking for really the epoch-changing transits that are going to be coming through. Some that I'll mention in 2023 are going to be really beautiful, like Jupiter conjunct Uranus. You know, there's some incredible things coming. So we'll look at all that, but we're starting in March. March is a really big month, as you'll see here. So on March 7th, Saturn enters Pisces. Saturn has been in Aquarius from December 2020 until March 2023. And Saturn will be in Pisces from March 2023 to February 2026. Now, this is a really different energy than we've had. Saturn was in his signs of rulership, Capricorn and Aquarius, since 2017. And so Saturn has been very strong. Saturn has been a very strong force, and Saturn is about working really hard. Saturn is about frustration, complications, difficulty, challenges, things slowing down. Ultimately, Saturn wants to help us, but he makes us go through a lot in order to get to the point where he can help us. Saturn ultimately wants us to do the hard work to build the strong foundations. He's about structure, okay? He wants us to build really strong foundations on which to build our new future, okay? Or on which, on an individual level, to build our legacy work, because he's Father Time. So he's looking even beyond this lifetime when he's working with you. He's looking at what is the legacy work you're going to leave to the world, and he wants to help you build a solid foundation for that. It makes you work really hard to get it. So Saturn has been creating a lot of challenge, difficulty, slowdowns, frustration for us, to put it mildly, since 2017. And Saturn moving into Pisces is a huge shift, because Saturn is not as strong in Pisces. It's not very strong at all. And Pisces is a much more flowing, imaginative, creative, let's be in the oneness kind of energy. So this is really different. And so we're going to move into a space where we're not going to feel that constrictive, limiting nature of Saturn anywhere near as strongly as we have for the past 5 years. So more freedom, less structure, more flow will become available to us, and that's going to be a welcome relief. This transit and these, it's just about 3 whole years that Saturn will be in Pisces, is going to show us that our visions and dreams are not just for fun. They're not just woo-woo, okay? They are truly important for how we're going to build, reveal, and welcome in the new world. So Saturn in Pisces is going to enable us to manifest the mysteries and unseen forces of nature into actual structure and form. This is really powerful. We're going to see this theme from a few of the other transits as well, where we are going to be able to bring that which we know but cannot see a lot more into mainstream consciousness, a lot more into what we're actually building day to day in our lives in a very concrete way. Now, there's going to be a huge increase during these 3 years in successful and long-lasting business models based on energy healing, metaphysics, accessing the other dimensions, shamanic work, ritual work, all these beautiful esoteric topics. Okay, so if you've been wanting to start your energy healing business, if you've been wanting to start your shamanic-based business, do it now. Do it in 2023. The time is right. And as I was mentioning, all the aspects of how we're interconnected are going to become much more accepted in the mainstream. Okay, we will gain more solidity, stability in our understanding of how to work with energetics and interconnectedness. And this is all going to help us anchor into a deeper trust in the larger plan. Again, Saturn is looking even beyond our lifetime. So what is the larger plan that we're all working to contribute to here? He's going to really bring our attention to that. Saturn in Pisces, that's very beautiful because Pisces represents consciousness, highest consciousness, oneness, the multi-dimensions. Okay, so how are we going to actually anchor our trust in that? Okay, and really build that into structure and form in our world. Now, this is a challenging aspect here. Pisces includes the immune system and contagion. And when this whole COVID thing first started, February 2020, Mercury was retrograde in Pisces at that time. Okay, so there could be more serious occurrences on the health front. I hope not, but that is a possibility here. But overall, there's so much positive that is going to come from this Saturn in Pisces transit. Also in March 2023, on March 23rd, Pluto will enter Aquarius. Now, Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. All right, so this is massive. Pluto moves very slowly. He only changes signs every 20 to 40 years, depending. Now, Pluto will be back and forth between Capricorn and Aquarius for most of 2023 and 24. So he'll still be carrying that Capricorn energy for a while, but this is the first time he moves even just a little bit into Aquarius. And then he's going to finally move into Aquarius for good on November 19th, 2024, and will stay there until 2043. So this is an energy we're going to have working with us until 2043. And this is just a massive shift in consciousness. Pluto is going to spend a lot of time these next 2 years at the exact 0-degree Aquarius point that is really important for us because it's where Jupiter and Saturn had their grand conjunction in December 2020. So this is truly the initiation point into a new age. Pluto represents the mysteries, life, death, and rebirth, that which is hidden. He also represents sex and money and power, okay? And those are our innate powers that we have within us that can come forth once we dare to explore the shadows. Once we dare to go into the initiations, we rise into greater ability to stand in our own power, okay? Greater life force and sexual energy, greater ability to call in the abundance that is truly ours, all right? That he rules these kinds of mysteries. So these topics are all going to become increasingly important aspects that will be more honored, revered, and brought into the collective awareness over the next 20 years. Again, the mysteries, the esoteric coming more into the mainstream. My hope is that through these initiations that Pluto will bring to welcome us into our Aquarian future, we'll be able to create more sacredness and reverence in our world, in which life itself is restored as the top priority for us as a collective, as it always was in the ancient times. The ancient Egyptians, the ancient Sumerians, the indigenous peoples all around the planet know that life itself must be held at the center as the top priority. And so I believe Pluto is going to bring us the initiations to help us remember that much more fully, much more deeply, so that we can create the bright future that we want. So on a more practical level, Pluto entering Aquarius means we're going to have absolutely unexpected, unprecedented next levels of technology created, especially because Uranus is going to be moving into Gemini starting in 2025-26. And these two, Pluto and Uranus, are going to form trines between Aquarius and Gemini again and again and again. I'll talk more about that on another slide. Absolutely unprecedented new technological discoveries. This also, Pluto and Aquarius also represents sweeping changes in social order and public rights. So Pluto was in Aquarius from 1778 to 1798, and this brought us the ratification of the American Constitution, the Industrial Revolution, the French Revolution, the Enlightenment, and the publishing of the Vindication of the Rights of Women. Wow. There's a lot more actually that I didn't put on this slide, but those seem like the really big important ones. Redistribution of power, giving a voice to the masses, and obtaining freedom and liberation are also themes we will see with Pluto in Aquarius. So this is huge. And, you know, Pluto in Capricorn has taught us a lot of lessons about our finances, okay, about money, about the physical world, the physical earthly reality, about work and how we're using our energy. Pluto in Aquarius is very different. Pluto in Aquarius is very forward oriented, and is going to bring these mysteries, revealing what is hidden, the sacredness of life itself, to the forefront of our collective awareness in really powerful ways. So it's going to be intense, and it's necessary, and it's going to be powerful. I put a picture of Osiris here. This is a beautiful image of Osiris from the tomb of Nefertari, because I think that Osiris, he just came in and into my awareness. I think that he so beautifully represents this Pluto in Aquarius. So what's interesting is that Pluto, the planet Pluto, is Hades. You know, he's the god of the underworld. He's the one that wants to drag us down to the underworld and help us evolve into our highest consciousness self, aware of the mysteries and our power and our sex and money and these kinds of things, right? Interestingly, Osiris is a very different kind of underworld god. He's the king of the underworld, the god of the underworld, and yet he's also the god of agriculture. And this is because the Egyptians had this profound understanding that life and death always lead to rebirth. And you can see he's green. His skin is shown as green because not only does he help us make the journey when our life ends into the underworld, but he rebirths us and he helps to create the life force energy. He is the life force that pushes up the green grasses and the green plants in the springtime every year, that brings life back to the land after the time of death. So I just have chills thinking about this. I really think that this Osirian kind of consciousness is what's going to be coming back into our world with Pluto in Aquarius. And that is very positive and very powerful. Also in March, like I said, March was a big month. Venus will be conjunct the North Node at 4 degrees of Taurus. Now, Venus conjuncts the North Node about once a year, okay? So that in and of itself is not extremely rare. But what is really important here is that this is going to be a wonderful counterpoint to the chaos and instability that we've been experiencing in 2022. In 2022, in July and August, Uranus and Mars came together with the North Node in Taurus. That was a very different energy. That was very life-altering, you know, just structures crumbling, war consciousness, shocking events, okay, severe health challenges for many, really difficult. okay? But when Venus and the North Node come together at the equinox on March 20th, 21st, and 22nd, it will be a much more calm and relaxed experience. And we will feel the presence of beauty and love in our lives, a feeling of abundance and blessings. And this is going to be like a balm for our nervous systems. Finally, it's like we'll finally be able to slow down and enjoy life a little bit and relax the nervous systems. And we're going to be feeling this actually even in December 2022 and the beginning of the year 2023, but in March especially, this is going to be a really beautiful energy. Now, moving on to some bigger transits here. Jupiter in Taurus. So Jupiter's right now in Pisces, has just retrograded back to Pisces. Jupiter will re-enter Aries and move very quickly through Aries from January 2023 to May 16th, and then we'll move right on into Taurus. This is going to be a very welcome shift in energies because Jupiter in Aries that we'll have for the first 5 months is going to be pretty fast-paced, pretty fiery. So this, from this May to the next May, will feel similar to that Venus North Node in Taurus energy, a chance to slow down and smell the roses. And again, we really need this. Our nervous systems are shot after the last few years. We need this chance to slow down. So I'm not saying that everything in the world is going to slow down at these times, but we'll be able to tap into this slower energy when we want to. It will feel more available to us. Okay, and we'll want to really cultivate that. We'll really want to cultivate balance in our lives in finding a slower pace, in finding stillness at certain times, spending more time in nature, connecting with the energy of peace. We really need to become proficient at this, especially as the other fast-paced transits are going to be still swirling around us. So Jupiter in Taurus is coming to assist us with this. I love this quote from astrologer Braca Goldsmith. She said, "There's no Wi-Fi in the forest, but I guarantee you'll feel more connected." And that's such a beautiful quote to represent Jupiter in Taurus. And this is an expanded time to start new businesses or to create a new financial situation for yourself based on your own inner values, talents, and integrity, because Jupiter rules wealth and abundance and brings blessings to us in that area. And Taurus represents our values, our talents, our integrity. Taurus also represents the earth. Taurus represents our physical bodies, our connection to home, our ability to feel at home and safe on the earth. And so there will be here with Jupiter in Taurus, again, just a beautiful opportunity to become really proficient at your self-care, at healing where it's needed in your life, at strengthening your connection with the earth. And you can just pause here and think about the radical changes that Uranus has brought into the Taurus areas of your life. So if you know your birth chart and you know what house is Taurus, Uranus has brought some big changes there, I'm sure, since 2018, and probably especially last year with the Uranus-Mars and North Node conjunction. Now Jupiter is going to come in and bring a more optimistic and soothing and expansive energy to this sector of your life. So really think about, what do you want to build here? From May 2023 to May 2024, you'll have the chance to do so. So whether that's around your finances, the needs of your health and body, your self-care, the stability of your home, taking time to enjoy life. Okay, really, what do you want to anchor into and build during this time? Very important to work with this, to harness this energy for your highest benefit during this time. Now, there are two especially important transits while Jupiter is in Taurus. One is Jupiter conjunct the North Node at the very end of May and first days of June 2023. That will be at 3 degrees Taurus. That will be very close to the 4 degrees Taurus point where Venus conjuncts the North Node. So this is building on that Venusian energy. And this will bring learning, expansion, and abundance to support the new future that we're building together. So you may feel really inclined to learn something new at this time that's going to build your new future. It's a very fortuitous transit, and we'll receive support during this time in the areas where we most need to move forward in life. And this last occurred in June 2016 at 16 degrees of Virgo, just for historical reference. All these transits I'm mentioning to you are pretty rare. Like this one only happens every 11 or 12 years. And then this next one, Jupiter conjunct Uranus, only happens about every 14 years. Okay, so this will be from April 18th to 24th, 2024. Note the year there, next year or the following year. Now, this is big. This brings unexpected leaps towards success, and it can definitely bring surprises. This is definitely going to bring some things you never saw coming. And this is supporting exploration, innovation, revolution in service to higher consciousness, enlightened value systems, because it's in Taurus. Interestingly here, this is going to bring us the ability to leap off a cliff toward a new and as yet unseen future. I think that is so interesting. And then have the ability to, it's not like you're just falling off a cliff. This is like, then you really make that future happen because you did that leap. So faith and courage are a big part of what this will bring, ingenuity and creativity. Here are some notable ones. All right, in 1436 and 37, this conjunction happened. Gutenberg built the first printing press, and that was 100 years before the scientific revolution. So he was way ahead of his time. 1775 and 76, that was the start of the American Revolution. 1968 and 69, landing of the first man on the moon. So these are like major innovations and new ways of thinking, new ways of perceiving reality that this transit will bring us. It is brief but powerful. Now, here's something really interesting that I noticed. Very rare. All planets will conjunct the North Node between 2022 to 2027. This indicates we are moving into a bold new future that is being imprinted with the energy of each and every planet over the next 5 years. Okay, now the North Node takes 19 and a half years to go the whole way around the zodiac. And normally the planets are, all over the place. In this case, all the planets right now are clustered fairly close to the North Node, and the North Node and the planets are going to gradually come one to another over these 5 years. Very fascinating. This is really indicating this new future that's becoming available to us, because the North Node represents the future, the shared future direction of humanity. Okay. And, Mercury and Venus always come to the North Node once a year, Mars about every 2 years. I have the dates here, but Jupiter's only every 12 years. Saturn is only every 30 years, or it might be a little bit less than that, 11 or 12, probably 25 to 30. It's very slow. So this is really fascinating, really beautiful. It's happening. Now is the time. And it's not, this is not all planets conjuncting the South Node. That would be very different. The South Node is about our karma, our trauma, our pain and woundings. This is about the future. This is about the direction our souls are pulling us toward, the direction that our consciousness wants us to move. And all of the planets are coming in to assist and support us in making that shift. It's really big, really beautiful. Now, I'm not going into detail about the nodes and the eclipses, but I did just want to give you a chart to show that the nodes are going to be moving through in these through 2028. Okay. Next, so we currently have the North Node in Taurus, South Node in Scorpio. Then June 2023, we'll move to North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra, and wherever these nodes are, where the eclipses happen. So you always want to be paying attention to where the nodes are, what house they are in your birth chart, because that's where you're going to be transformed, particularly. And then January 2025, North Node moves into Pisces, South Node moves into Virgo. And July 2026, North Node moves to Aquarius, South Node into Leo. When the North Node goes into Aquarius with Pluto and it trines, they both trine the Uranus and Gemini. I mean, that's just massive. There's really, really massive, beautiful shifts coming. So let's talk about that a little bit. Uranus is going to move into Gemini on July 7th, 2025. We're getting a little further out here time-wise. And Uranus will be back and forth between Taurus and Gemini for a bit, and Uranus will move fully into Gemini from April 25th, 2026 to August 3rd, 2032. Uranus moves pretty slowly, so spends about 7 or 8 years in each sign. Now, as I mentioned, especially because Pluto is in Aquarius at the same time, just absolutely unprecedented developments in technology. It's like things we cannot even imagine yet, maybe an unforeseen new version of the internet. I mean, maybe we break free. This is what I'm thinking. Maybe we break free completely from all the devices and the screens, and we actually remember the way that we can do all of these communications without any computers, without any technical support. We just know how to do it through our own consciousness and telepathy and our interconnectedness, right? What an incredible shift. Let's hold the energy for that. But definitely rapid advances in information networks, new social media platforms are very quite possible. Maybe, like, again, it's going to be like different stuff we couldn't imagine right now. We will feel our mental abilities just lightning quick. And this is again why I say perhaps we really shift into this completely new level of consciousness and what we're capable of. And the technology, I mean, our bodies are magical technology. Our bodies hold the energy of life itself, right? And so we used to know in Egypt, they knew how to work with that. They knew the secrets of life and death and everything in between. We may come back into a full remembrance, or at least enough remembrance to be able to really work with those abilities again. Rapid innovation in science, technology, and communication, advances in aviation always happen when Uranus is in Gemini. Quite possibly the first communications with extraterrestrials where we're actually effectively communicating, not just seeing them whiz by in the sky, but actually really effectively opening lines of communication with those from other places in the cosmos. Radical new fields of science may emerge. We will be very inspired on a personal level to study and learn more in multiple fields at once. The last time Uranus was in Gemini was from August 1941 to June 1949. And this brought inventions of things that had never been seen before. Aerosol cans, the Polaroid camera, which was really big at the time, the invention of the microwave, cooking food like never before. Whether it's healthy, well, we don't know. But in any case, and in further back times, a lot of the Wright brothers developing the airplanes, and then the first time that, more commercial planes were developed, all of these kinds of things happened during Uranus and Gemini. So there's a lot with aviation. It's very interesting. And that's why like the connection with the cosmos could be really big during this time. So this is exciting, fast-paced, fast-moving. Something to look forward to overall. I just hope that we don't go too far into the negative reaches of technology, right? That's what we want to hope does not occur. Now, this Neptune and Saturn and Aries thing this is going to be a very different kind of energy than what we've had so far. I think this will be a somewhat uncomfortable energy, honestly. This is not as magnificent. So the ones I've shared with you so far are fairly magnificent and positive. This is going to be more difficult. There's a lot that happens in 2025 that's really big shifts. So there's definitely the feeling that we're entering into a completely different reality in 2025 and 2026. So Neptune will enter Aries on March 30th, 2025. Neptune has been in Pisces for a long, long time. I don't have the dates right on here, but a very long time. And then will stay in Aries until 2038. So, here we have Neptune has been in Pisces since 2012. Okay. So this is a huge shift. And there's been a lot that's happened with Neptune in Pisces around the expansion of our visionary abilities, people working with dreams. These are some of the themes of both Neptune and Pisces. They carry the same archetype. Okay, so it's dreams, visions, imagination, inspiration from the multi-dimensions, shamanic work, traveling into the other dimensions. So there's been a lot happening with that since 2012. Neptune, as it says here, rules addiction, alcohol, art, compassion, enlightenment, fantasies, dreams, sacred medicines, ideals, spirituality, and water. Now, Aries is very different from that. Okay, Neptune and Pisces were the same, all those same themes, both of them together. But Aries is this more warlike energy, action, aggression, assertiveness, courage, leadership. And so one thing that seems clear here is that ideas, imagination, visionary abilities will be able to take great leaps ahead. And again, I think that all of this is going to come so much more to the mainstream and be things that we can really take action on in much more concrete ways. And then Saturn is going to enter Aries on February 13, 2026, and will be there through 2028. Now, this is a big paradox. I think that things are going to be moving forward with the ideas, imagination, visionary abilities when Neptune goes into Aries, but when Saturn gets there, it's going to put a halt to that kind of thing because Saturn slows things down. Saturn rules structure, hard work, and time. And Aries only wants to rush heedlessly ahead. So this is two very conflicting forces. Plus you got Neptune in there. So it's really an interesting combination. So the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, when these two are going to come together, will be exact on February 20th, 2026, at the first degree of the entire zodiac, 0 degrees Aries. That's considered the hinges of the world. This is the axis that the entire world shifts around. And really, we'll feel this strongly for the full period from May 2025 to March 2026, because they'll be very close together. And as it says here, Saturn and Neptune are two very different ends of the spectrum. Saturn is concrete form, slowness, frustration. Neptune symbolizes the transcendence of all of that and the dissolving of boundaries. So when these planets have conjuncted, but previously in history, it often correlates with historical periods that pit the rational against the irrational, and visionary beliefs and esoteric concepts against structure and government. So this could be a time, what I feel and sense for this is that all of these shifts we've made with Pluto and Aquarius and Saturn and Pisces, and being able to actually bring the visions and the imagination and the esoteric into mainstream, I think that the governments are going to just very strongly want to counteract that. And there's going to be some major things that happen where maybe it'll be like one of those or the other needs to rise above the other. Hopefully the visionary beliefs and esoteric concepts can rise, carried by the people, and really create, as it's saying here, like a new world order, new theories and belief systems can come through that are more based on the sacred, more based on the esoteric than we've seen in thousands and thousands of years. But the fact that this occurs at the first degree of the zodiac is huge. This represents complete new beginnings, complete new understandings of reality coming through for the entire world. So this is really big, and I think it will be difficult. And again, it's like this is needed. These kinds of breakdowns are needed. And we want to, as always with these, see where it falls in your chart, see what house is 0 degrees Aries. That's going to be really important for you personally. But we want to tap into the positive potentials here, energize that, okay? Vision around that as much as possible. So that's what we're creating through every thought, through every word. So I mentioned Pluto and Aquarius. I mentioned Uranus and Gemini. Well, these two major heavy hitters are going to trine one another from 2025 to 2028 again and again. So Pluto between 1 to 8 degrees of Aquarius will trine Uranus between 1 to 8 degrees of Gemini. There are 3 exact trines on these dates that I have here: July 18, 2026, November 29, 2026, and June 15, 2027. So this is a trine. It's a positive aspect. Okay, it's going to support us in creating positive changes in the long run, but it can feel underworldly with Pluto. It can feel beyond our immediate grasp, like things will be happening in the mystery, things will be happening in the unknown. Okay, but overall, it is positive because it's a trine. It's not a square. Fortunately, it's a trine. And this will positively affect in your chart 1 to 8 degrees Aquarius, 1 to 8 degrees Gemini, and also 1 to 8 degrees Libra. Whatever you have at 1 to 8 degrees Libra, it will be creating a grand air trine with your degree of your chart there and Pluto and Uranus. Very interesting. So this is going to be about lightning fast technological progress, as I've already mentioned, massive social change, global changes in power dynamics, reform, and revolution. This is just going to feel particularly electrically charged and fast moving. And my sense is it may feel as if we're evolving faster than our ability to even comprehend what's happening. Uranus finally will pull away from the trine with Pluto in June 2028. So this is going to be really strong from that midpoint of 2026 to June 2028, especially. So this is why I'm saying these transits that are happening in 2023, like Jupiter in Taurus, Venus conjunct the North Node in Taurus, we need to become really proficient at holding that calm center within, proficient at the self-care, proficient in grounding, connecting to nature, connecting to the heart within ourselves that knows the ultimate truths. Because when these more electric, fast-moving, kind of unsettling transits happen, and again, this is positive overall, okay, this trine, but it's going to feel wild. So when those things are happening, we know how to ground in. We know how to keep ourselves calm. We know how to not go into fear. Okay, we're almost done here, guys. One more piece that's really important. I know this is way far out in 2028, but it's really important to keep in mind with all we're going through now. All right, Saturn's going to enter Taurus on April 12th, 2028. This will be a big relief for one thing when Saturn moves out of Aries, because Saturn will stop exerting his, slow down and challenging forces in sign of Aries, and forward progress will become easier. Aries will be able to stand for what Aries stands for once again, which is forward movement. And this is really critical because Saturn in Taurus is going to assist us in building the world back up after everything that Uranus has torn down and deconstructed between 2018 to 2025. With Saturn in Taurus, both of these are slow and steady energies. So this will be slow and steady growth and building. But now at this point, 2028, we've been revolutionized. We've been recalibrated on so many levels that we would never build it back up the way it was before. Clearly that didn't work. And instead, and we're meant to be learning these lessons right now, these lessons of Uranus and Taurus, these lessons of Saturn in Aquarius and Pisces, so that we can know how to build it in new ways, based on sustainability, compassion, integrity, mutual respect, strong values systems, which is all that Taurus stands for, and trust in the larger plan that's unfolding for all of us. So this is a lot that I've shared. I really recommend you to, listen again if you can, or at least make sure you're marking these dates down so you can come back and tune into them as they're getting closer. This is just huge. I mean, this is complete revolutionization of what our reality is meant to be, that these transits are going to bring to us. And again, the more that we can hold the image of, yes, the esoteric, the metaphysical, our knowledge of who we truly are, placing life at the center, right? The more that we can hold the energy for these things to grow in our world, for these things to become more and more accepted by the mainstream, right? And that governments and corporations cannot put these values down anymore. We are here to hold them strong. We are here to share them with the world. That's such a huge part of what events, global conferences like this are doing, right? Sharing this information so that we can create the groundswell, so that we can shift things from the grassroots levels so that it can roll out into the greater collective in a really beautiful way. So this is our role here as we navigate these powerful, powerful transits. Now I have 2 free gifts for you today, and I'll put these in the chat. And also, if you're watching this later, these will be on my speaker page within the conference. Don't worry, you'll be able to find them somewhere. You'll notice that I reference Egypt a lot. So the free gift number 1 is an inspiring video workshop to awaken your connection with ancient Egypt. It's really fun. It has a beautiful shamanic journeying practice as part of it. I hope you will love that. And also, my second free gift is 3 keys to thriving. It's meant to be thriving, actually, in the realm of revelations and miracles. Let me just correct that. Thriving is what we're doing here. That's a cosmic transmission and a creative workshop. I had so much fun creating that. That was in September as I was just coming out of my deep, dark journey into the underworld. So very interesting, the transmissions at that time. I also want to let you know about some exciting opportunities related to Egypt because Patricia, Awyan, Lehman, and I are co-leading a tour in person in Egypt in this beautiful month of March 2023 that I told you about so much here today. It's called the Rise of the Winged Kheper Tour. It's going to be beyond incredible, just beyond. So let me put these in the chat too. And if you want to come back to these links, if you pull up this page, let's see, that I'm going to put in the chat right now, this will bring you back to the free gifts and to all the information that I just shared, and that's where my video will be posted. So you can access everything from that page, okay, in case you lose the chat. Also, I have the ongoing Mysteries of Egypt online course, okay? We still have 3 live class sessions coming up. There's a total of 8 sessions, and we have 3 more that I am still yet to deliver on November 21st, December 5th, and December 19th. If you would like to join, it is donation-based. You can send the amount that feels right for you, that is right for your financial situation. It's really open for you to come and join and just immerse in the beautiful energies of Egypt. We're visiting 1 temple in each class. I have beautiful images from all the temples to inspire you, and so you can receive the transmissions from those places. So even if you can't go live with me and Patricia, you can take the class and join by donation and really enjoy. Now, all of these links I'll also post in the description field of YouTube after we end the live call here. And I have one more really special announcement, okay? And I'll put this in the chat right here. So I guide others, oops, didn't want that. I guide others to create conferences like this one. I have been creating these conferences for my own business, and it has revolutionized my own business ever since 2015. And I have trained many, many, many people over the years to also create their own soulful summits and global conferences. Now I'm starting a new mentorship group. I start 1 or 2 of these groups every year for summit creators. This is a small group, okay? There will only be a maximum of 5 to 7 people in this group. Because I know that you need my personal attention to really make your summit happen and to really make it a success. So if you are interested, go and check out this link. I have 1 space left for the group starting on November 29th. If you're ready, if you have a business like what I talked about earlier in the presentation that's around energy healing or metaphysics or your coaching or your therapy work to help people shift into this new world, and you're ready to really get your soul's mission and message out there in a big, impactful way, utilizing all of these powerful energies we're going to have in 2023, you can check out the possibilities at this link right here. And there are also opportunities to work with me one-on-one. So if the group fills and you still want to work together, we can do one-on-one. I have a few openings for 2023. And if you'd like to move forward, you can either purchase from that page or you can submit the Soulful Summit interest form, and I'll get back in touch with you soon. So exciting times, and that's one great way to make the most of them. So I want to thank you all for attending 2023, 2024, 2025 forecast event. I hope you will enjoy each and every interview. I hope you've enjoyed this and received so much from this talk. And I do want to open up for questions. I know we're over the hour, and some people may have to go, but if you want to put a question in the chat, please do on YouTube as well. You can put questions in the chat, and let me just see if there's any questions. Hi, everybody on YouTube. Yay, watching live. Let's see. We have 87 people watching on YouTube right now. So glad to have you all here. And we've had over 200 on most of the Zoom calls, so that's fabulous. So glad you all were able to join live. Let's see. Da, da, da. Michelle, you were in Egypt on 2/22/22. I was there too. That's that was such a powerful time to be there. Yay, I'm so glad you've been there. Thank you, Deanne. Yes, I would love to have you all join Mysteries of Egypt. We're having so much fun in there. It's so incredible to explore those temples. And yes, the climate meetings are in Egypt. Yeah, that is deeply meaningful. I'm so fascinated by that. Let's see, any questions, guys? I don't see too many questions. Oh, here's one, Constanza. My ascendant is Pisces. With Saturn there, will I have limitation? How can I use this energy in a positive way? Okay, that's a great question, Constanza. So, and I can't always answer all of the personal chart questions, but this one, since there's not a lot of questions, I have time. So let's dive in. So Constanza, the ascendant, your ascendant represents who you are at the very core of your being. The ascendant is the first personality traits that we start to see exhibited by like 1, 2, 3-year-old children when they're starting to walk and talk and express themselves. So your ascendant is like the core of who you truly are. Now, when Saturn comes in, and with it, let me just say first too, an ascendant in Pisces, you are probably very open to the visionary realms, the multidimensional realms. When Saturn comes in, he's going to throw some challenges your way. He might throw some limitations your way. But what you want to keep in mind is that Saturn wants you not to just shut down and stop your life, okay? Saturn wants you to create positive structures, to create positive foundations, to be able to share that visionary ability, okay? To be able to share your, shamanic abilities, your ability to travel into the other realms, to share it with the world in a bigger way, to really help you to make a positive difference and create your legacy work around who you truly are. So he might send you, things that seem like roadblocks, things that seem like unsolvable problems or unsolvable obstacles. And what I recommend is same thing I did. Start having conversations with Saturn. Ask him what he wants you to learn. Ask your guides, what am I meant to be learning from these challenges? That's the way to move through it as quickly as possible, because you're then opening to the evolution that wants to happen. Okay, so I hope that will be helpful for you, Constanza. I wrote my slides, Vernie. I wrote them. I hope you enjoyed them. Barbara, how do we utilize this information with our birth chart? So I'm going to talk more about that on Saturday, Barbara. I'm doing another presentation at 9 a.m. New York time in 2 days on Saturday, where we'll talk a lot more about that, how to apply this to your birth chart. But in brief, what I'll say now is you want to look at what I presented today, okay, and just find out what houses these different transits are falling in. And from there, you'll be able to get a really good idea for the themes and the revolutions that you will be moving through in these coming years. Naraya, you mentioned enlightened value systems in the context of Taurus. So yes, so value systems is Taurus. Taurus is about our deepest integrity, the value systems that we hold dear, okay? What we ultimately believe is at the core of our truth and our principles, okay, every one of us individually. And then Jupiter, I think I was talking about Jupiter in Taurus when I said that. Jupiter represents enlightenment, high consciousness, optimism, abundance, growth, expansion, okay? So Jupiter comes in and expands and enlightens whatever he touches. So when Jupiter's in Taurus, that's how I got to enlightened value systems. And as I mentioned throughout the presentation, I really think that we are going to be creating a world where the metaphysical aspects, the esoteric aspects, the multidimensional aspects, I mean, even possibly communicating with extraterrestrials and finding that we have more friends than we even knew before. So many levels that this can go to, but that is all going to become much more part of the mainstream. And we want to create this in a way that's very different from what the governments and the corporations have been building for so many hundreds of years. So hopefully that is helpful. So that will be much more enlightened value systems than what we have now. Yes, I will post the slides in the description below the YouTube and also within the conference on my page, which I'll put that here again. You'll be able to find the slides on this page after the conferences, or I'm sorry, after this recording is posted. And yeah, Pamela, I do recommend watching again. I know it was a lot of info I wanted to cover, so you can come back and watch it a little slower if you want. Susanna says, my Taurus is in Chiron and 9th house. Well, I think maybe you meant to say your Chiron is in Taurus in the 9th house. And then you said sun, moon, ascendant. I'm not really sure. I can't really tell from your note where your planets are, Susanna, so I'm not really able to. I don't want to tell you something that's not correct, so I'm not sure. Erica, I'm glad you had magical experiences in Egypt. Yay. You can tell I have Egypt around me. Beautiful Isis is here above me, and Sekhmet is right here. So Egypt will come in and shift your life in the most powerful, beautiful ways, that's for sure. Okay. So let's see. Naraya, you have Jupiter, Sun, Mercury conjunct in the early degrees of Taurus. Well, you're going to have a beautiful year ahead, Naraya, because that's probably close to where Venus will be conjunct the North Node, and then after that, Jupiter will be conjunct the North Node, so that's very fortuitous for you. That is wonderful. Nicole says, would we ask Saturn in our birth chart or Saturn transiting? Well, it could be either one, okay? You might be having transits to Saturn in your birth chart. In that case, Saturn is working with you as well as whatever planet is transiting to your natal Saturn, and then you could talk to both of them. Or if Saturn is transiting key places in your chart, then definitely, you would also have a lot to learn. So, depending on how that's happening for you, then yeah, you would want to focus on both the birth chart and the transits related to Saturn. Vern Zimmer, your presentation is organized beautifully and expensive. Pisces, Virgo. Yeah, well, I have my North Node in Virgo, Saturn, Mercury in Virgo, and South Node in Pisces. So yeah, energy in both of those. I do not teach Dendera astrology. However, I highly recommend, first of all, my teacher in Egypt, who is Patricia Awyan Lehman. I'll put her name here. She has learned from Hakim Abdel Awyan, who is an indigenous wisdom keeper from Egypt, who's no longer living, but she spent a lot of time with him in the last years of his life. And she has incredibly profound insights about Dendera and the astrological panels there. It's not just the Dendera zodiac, which is the circular panel. There are also longer rectangular panels in the main hypostyle hall of Dendera that have absolutely incredible information. This slide that I showed earlier is one of those. I'll just put this back up because I love it so much and it's so beautiful. And I know you all will be moved by it. Again, remember we had Isis in the sacred cow form, Osiris here standing before he died, before he was mummified, and Horus, their son, in the center on the lotuses. This is representing the beginning of times, okay, before the fall of consciousness, the original time, Zep Tepi. So Patricia has a lot more to say about that. So I highly recommend her work, and that's who I will be co-leading the tour to Egypt with in March 2023. So if you can come along with us, you will experience Dendera like never before. Let's see. Michelle, the Bennu bird is with me. Yes, aho. Beautiful. Susanna says Chiron in Taurus, house cusp positions in Taurus in the 9th. So in your 9th house, Susanna, with all of this happening, there's a lot of activity in your 9th house, Taurus. You're being revolutionized around your belief systems. The 9th house represents a lot of the same qualities as Jupiter and Sagittarius. Okay, so this is about belief systems, This is about forming your own personal belief system that is going to help see you through these massive changes that are coming up, okay? And it can very well be about studying and also about becoming a teacher around these themes, okay? So a teacher of consciousness. With your Chiron there, you may need to do some deep healing. Chiron is our deepest wound. So you may need to do some deep karmic or ancestral healing or trauma healing in order to fully rise into that ninth house role of becoming the teacher. But in any case, it's a powerful place for those to be happening. So follow your intuition, follow your guidance, talk to the planets, see what they want you to learn. Very powerful. Barbara says, I'm going through some health challenges now. Is this part of the hard work Saturn brings to our lives? It can be. It depends. So you'd want to see where is your sixth house and what are the transits moving through your sixth house. Like for me, I'll give this example. My sixth house is Taurus. The sixth house is health and daily routines. I am being completely shaken up and shaken down and recalibrated around my health, how I'm spending my days, what are my routines, what are my patterns. I'm needing to break all my old patterns and do things in a very different way in order to honor my energy, which is my body, Taurus. So it can be, Barbara, it may be Saturn working with you. It may be other planets working with you, but it probably depends where your sixth house is. Could possibly also depend on where Virgo is in your chart. Michelle, to answer that, I would need to see your chart in more detail because there's so many variables. So if I'm going to tell you the best time to do something, I need to see your whole chart because there's a lot that can come in there. Thank you, Lauren Rose Evening Song. So glad you could be here. Okay, so I'm going to need to close now. I will post these links one more time in case you guys are looking for them. So here are my 2 free gifts. Okay, in the Zoom chat. And again, I will put these in the YouTube description and on the page within the conference website once I wrap up here recording. And then here finally is the page you can go to access everything and to access this recording later on. So I am sending you all so much love, and be sure to join us in just about 40 minutes. We'll be starting the interview with Pam Gregory, which will be live. This is going to be so incredible. Pam is amazing. You all will love her. I'm sure many of you already know her. I'm not Pam Gregory. Pam Montgomery. I'm so sorry. I'm thinking astrology and Pam Gregory is an amazing astrologer. This is Pam Montgomery. Okay, and Pam is going to be telling us about, I'm just going to pull up her topic here quickly, reclaiming our birthright as co-creative partners with nature, which is such an incredible follow-up to all that we've been exploring here astrologically today. Pam Montgomery is next. So come back to the same exact Zoom link or to my same YouTube channel, and you'll see Pam starting in about 40 minutes. I can't wait to see you all then. Much love, everybody.